It's our culture. It's our culture. Culture. This Okay, while we wait for others to join us, I'll please beg of you to respond with a yes. If you're pretty sure you can hear me properly, do respond with a yes via the chat needed to give you the license to go ahead in the class. Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, are we good?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Yes,
Okay.
teacher.
Teacher.
Yes, teacher.
All
Yes,
right.
teacher.
So mute yourself. Let's go ahead. Okay, let's go. Now, we talked about information security. All right. So, information security, ICT has actually helped a whole lot when it comes to information security. So you have ICT actually introduced a feature called password. Of course, it was as a result of ICT you started hearing about the term password. So password is one feature, is one measure that you can, a feature that you can use in order to protect your documents, all right, from unauthorized access. So that's one application of application of information security. Okay, so you have passwords. Then I also talked about uh, actually talked about, I don't know if I talked about encryption. All right, so encryption is another way you can help protect your document. Now, of course, you know your password just help let's say in the case of password is just a way of authenticating you. Do you understand? There's a concept. I don't know if I must have mentioned it by personally. Uh, there is a concept. Just going to bring this acronym AAA. AAA means authentication, authorization, and accounting. So this is like a major feature. Sorry, not AAA. Yeah, AAA in networking, or sorry, in security. AAA in security. So you can see AA in security, authentication, authorization, and accounting. Now, this is what your password basically does authentication for you. You agree with me that when you go to an app like Facebook or Twitter or your Gmail to have access to your mail, what you do is this: your Gmail or maybe your social media application needs to authenticate you. And what does it use? It makes use of your credential, your email and your password, or it makes use of your phone number and your password. So it authenticates you. All right. So the next thing, another thing we need to look at is authorization. So your password basically allows for authentication. It only allows you to be authenticated. Yeah, I want to be sure you actually is Mr. Frank, the person who is trying to access this document. If he is, then he needs to provide the right password for us. And if he provides the right password for us and he's authenticated, then he can be allowed to access this document. The next one is authorization. Authorization is is the reason I brought encryption. Now encryption, this is another security measure. Encryption. Now encryption basically has to do with changing the content of the information. For example, let me bring a typical example. For example, if Sally wants to talk to Bob, all right, and Bob and Sally are very close friends, and you have other people in that very location, and Bob and Sally don't want other people to understand what they are saying, even though they are speaking in English. So they can come up with a different concept. Maybe they can change their English. I'm just trying to use a very basic scenario. They can decide to change their English. For example, if they are writing in English in letter A to Z, they can decide to change the formation or the order of the letter. He can tell Sally, or Sally can tell Bob, please, whenever you see me write letter Z, just know it means letter A. Do you understand? So they can change the order. So if Sally wants to write Z, or so if Sally wants to write Z, he'll rather write A. Or if Sally wants to write A, he'll rather change it to Z. All right, so this is a very basic concept of encryption, changing the order of contents. All right, so that it's only the other person who understands the concept of decoding what Sally has written that will be able to know the right information that is there. Do you understand? So this is like a concept of encryption. Okay, so that's where the authorization comes in. Even though Sally has been authenticated, he needs to be authorized. Is Sally allowed to have access to this? Is Sally authorized to have access to this document? If he is, then he needs to know what was the concept that was used to encrypt these contents. Do you understand? So Sally should be able to give you the concept or the mode or whatever the technology that was used to encrypt this content in order to be authorized to have access to it. Of course, you can see there are two things I've mentioned here: authentication number one, which I told you a typical example is using a password. Authentication number one, and the next thing is authorization number two, which I told you is using an encryption key, any sort of encryption. I told you encryption is just in a very simple way, it's just changing the order of the content. All right, and you should have a particular a I don't know how to put that. I think this concept might be a bit difficult for you. Algorithm, if you've heard about algorithm, so you should have a particular algorithm that can be used to decode this content. All right, or maybe but you can look at it as a particular technology. All right, so it's only you and the other person in which you have told the code that you can use to decode what you had encrypted. That will understand that. All right. So that's the concept of security. That's a very simple concept of a very simple concept of security. So the last thing I'm going to talk about, which of course I did show you, is your TUFA. TUFA means two-factor authentication. Now, TUFA is a measure, is actually a security measure that can give you another layer of security. Most people can call it multi-factor authentication or multi-layer authentication. But in real sense, you can call it a two-factor authentication. Let me give you a typical example. For example, in your Gmail accounts, when Google authenticates using your email and your password, you can enable another layer. That's you're not only authenticated with your email and password, you also need another level of authentication. Let me just show you something very simple. All right, so I'm just going to go to my Gmail. I'm going to go to gmail.com. I just want to see how to practicalize something for you. So I'm going to go log in with my mail just to explain two-factor authentication for you. So my email. So next, then I'm going to log in with my password. I know you can't guess my password. It's not that easy. All right, so next. You see, now by right, I should be allowed. You see? You see? Two-factor, two-step verification, two-factor. Email and password is not enough to drive me in. I need another layer. I've enabled another layer of security so that even if a bad guy or a black hat hacker or a bad person compromises my email and password, it's not enough for you to access my email address. You still, or my email account, you still need another layer of security, or you still need to know another layer of security. And this is enabled on my cell phone. Okay, so I have Google Authenticator. I also have another one, my 8-digit PIN, which is saved back for backup. I also have another one, which is using your phone to say yes. You have to tap yes on your phone because the request has to come to your phone that, hey, someone is trying to access your email. Are you the one? Say yes. If you're not, say no. Do you understand? So two-step verification or two-factor authentication is another layer of security. Okay, so that's for two-factor authentication. All right, so that's for information security. So I can protect my information using some ICT technology. Okay, now timely and control. With the use of ICT, information can be retrieved at the speed of light. Do you understand? So I want to have access to some document online. I don't actually need to start moving to the library. I have to start walking to the library and all that. I can just go online and type those words or type those content and retrieve them as fast as possible. Maybe you want to send a mail to someone. You don't need to go through the post office. You can quickly shoot a mail via your email to the person, and the person receives it immediately and not sending through the post office. And it might take like months, weeks. For the most part, yes. I'm just exaggerating. No, yes. It can't take years, anyways. So to get to that person, but it could take a very longer time. So that's for timeliness. All right. Then control. ICT can also help you. It can also help you exercise some control on. Could be on documents. You can have some privacy control features on your document, or maybe on uh, some things you really want to. You actually want to set control over. So with IT, you can do a whole lot of things. All right, with control. And let's look at advantages of ICT. I know if you understand the users, then the advantages would be a breeze. Speech. Of course, it's we can't really talk we can't emphasize on these a whole lot because of course the ICT, when it comes to ICT, the advantage of the advantages of ICT, it's speech. Okay, timeliness, speech. You're transferring data at the speed, it goes at the speed of light. You're trying to retrieve data at the speed of light, and also speed is like a key thing, a big idea when it comes to ICT. Now, flexible interaction. Yeah. Now I can like now I'm interacting with you I'm not in the four wall of a classroom like a sort of a traditional way of administering these classes with you or to you. I'm actually doing it the blended way, all right, the blended learning way. So I'm interacting with you, and of course, you might be relaxing on your chair, or you might be relaxing on your bed. I'm probably getting receiving my class. Do you understand? So that flexible interaction. Maybe you're interacting with your friend. You can be lying on your bed. You don't necessarily need to be well positioned on your decks and all. So that flexibility in interaction is one advantages of ICT. Access to information, we can this cannot be overemphasized. Access to information is like a big idea. You can have access to any kind of information you want to, as far as ICT is concerned. Any information you can imagine, any information you can think of, Google it, you get it. Access to information, whether you want to get classified information, protected information, with ICT, you can do that. All right. Access information, as long as that information is on the public network, the internet, you can have access to that. All you just need to do is to understand the tips, the tricks on how to get access to the information you want to access, or the information you're looking for, all right, at the right time. So that's just it. Most times I have my contemporaries call me, hey Natanya, I'm trying to download this and it's not down the internet. And in a twinkle of an eye, Googling it or following some tips and tricks, you can get that information just just at this. In fact, you get that information seamlessly without stress. All you just need to understand is how the concept of extracting those information, which of course I showed you in our class on Google hacking, how to hack Google. Of course, I told you hacking Google doesn't mean destroying Google's computer. It means how to send instruction to Google server to get the right information you're looking for. I'm not getting a whole list of information. Okay, so that's that. So the next is globalization. ICT has turned the world into a global village. So I can probably place an order for a product in China. I don't necessarily need to be in China. I can place an order for a product in the US. I don't necessarily have to be in the US. And I can have access to products anywhere in the world and place an order for them and get it delivered to my doorstep. Of course, with the advent of e-commerce has made that possible. All right, that's globalization. So it has turned the world into a global village. Now, timeliness, of course, I don't need to talk much about this. Timeliness, information can be accessed on time. So effective human interaction, innovation, and creativity, media interaction. Of course, you know that. Then information security. So disadvantage, we're running out of time. I'm trying most as I can to wrap up fast. All right, so disadvantages of ICT. So of course, it can cause addiction disorder. When you're addicted to the internet, you might you might end up. It's really not a good thing. So avoid so much or constant use of or constant access to the internet. There are sometimes you just have to take some time off from the internet and all, so you don't get addicted to it, especially to social media applications. Then you have lack of job security. ICT, like I said, the advent of ICT has actually made some people's job to be on the line because of ICT gadgets and ICT infrastructures has come to replace a whole lot of things. Of course, you have self-driving cars right now. It's currently gaining traction. Most drivers will begin to lose their jobs because of self-driving cars and all. So you also have ATM machines. The ATM machines, most people are already losing their job in the bank because ATM has come to replace. So I don't necessarily need to go at the desk or at the counter to wait to withdraw my money. I can just stay at the ATM, withdraw it. So most people who were always there, like cashiers, giving you the money, are already losing their job because some technologies are coming to replace that and all. So computer viruses and all. I know I talked in detail about all these things, so we can just look that up. Okay, so I'm trying to quickly wrap up. So week 3, I know I won't be able to cover this. So for week 3, okay, for week 3, uh, these are the ones. Word processing. So we looked at word processing program, and I told you that can you please mute yourself? I'm echoing. I can hear myself. I don't mind.
And her mother was such a pretty creature. She had a very pretty manner, too. And Mary has the most unattractive ways I ever saw in a child. The children Mary quite very, and the meaning of them. One can't help understanding it. Perhaps her mother carried her pretty face and pretty manners into the nursery more often. Mary might have learned ways to
Where is this
very
coming
sad.
from?
Now the poor beautiful thing is gone. To remember that many people never even knew that she had a child at all. I believe she scarcely ever looked at her, sighed Mrs.
Okay, so we looked at word processing programs. I told you that a word processor is just an application that allows you to input text, format the text, edit the text, and get the output of the text. All right, so that's a word processing application. Any application that has a text editor that has a feature that allows you to input that text, to process that text, to format the text. Formatting in the sense that you're changing the color of the text, the background, the font, the headings, adding images to your document and all. So these are word processing applications. Do you understand? Okay, so I don't really need to read through all this. So we looked at some of the features of a word processing program. Please note these features very importantly: text input, text manipulation, formatting, and output. Very important. Now we looked at examples of these word processing programs. We have the likes of Google's Doc, Microsoft Word. We have Writer, which is, of course, I told you is in Linux. You have Zoho. So these are examples of word processing applications. So please read those things up. Very importantly, just read everything in the notes. All right, so let's go to week 4. Week 4 was actually a practical session. So we looked at word processing packages, we launched Microsoft Word, we looked at some keyboard hand placement, we did a little of a type racer game. So keyboard hand placement, please note this keyboard hand placement very well. ASDF on the left and JKL colon on the right. Please note the keyboard hand placement. You see it in the exam, trust me, you see it. So just note the keyboard hand placement, okay? All right, so that was week 4. So for week 5, it was still a practical session. Week 5. While that is opening, let me launch week 6. We just have less than 2 minutes. Week 6. Week 6 was still a practical session. Okay, week 6 was our CAT. Week 7 was research project. Okay, so that was why we don't have anything there. So week 6 was our CAT. Forgot. Week 7. Week 7 was midterm. Okay, so that's why we don't have anything there. So week 8. What was week 8? Presentation packages. Perhaps I didn't remember to upload that. I'll try and upload that. I'll try and add that. So week 9, presentation packages. I'll try and add that. Okay, so we're done with this. So presentation packages. Okay, I remember. I didn't add that notes. Okay, this is the same notes. It was presentation packages. Okay, this is the notes. All right, so these are notes for week 7. Okay, so just this is a note. It was presentation package. We talked about presentation packages. All right, I know I had to revisit it again. All right, so this is a note for that very week. Okay, so please, I would want to put a break here. So I will be entertaining just few minute questions. We're already out of time. Just few seconds. I'll ask you question if you do have any question. let me quickly respond to you, and we call it a day for this very class. Hopefully, you have a good grade in the exam. Trust me. As long as you just go through what I've just showed you today and you go through the notes, trust me, you have a good grade. Okay, so any questions so far? Any questions so far as I wrap up? If you do have a question, please indicate with a raise of a hand. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? All right, George. Where is he? Okay, ask your question, George.
Hello, teacher.
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
This is not really question,
Okay.
but you said that we are going to present something on
Yes,
PowerPoint.
yes, yes. I said, but we don't have the time. Okay, just ensure you turn in your PowerPoint. That's what I'll use to grade you. I actually wanted to grade you when you present as with. I actually wanted to grade you when you present as well, but I've changed my mind, so I'll just grade your PowerPoint. Okay.
Okay, teacher.
Yeah. Any other question? Any other question? All right. See you guys next week. Trust me, the exam will be very simple. Trust me, it will be very simple. So, but just do your best and read up what you've learned in the last few weeks. Okay. All right. See you guys next week, and do have a wonderful day. Bye.